All right, let's get started. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
All right, all
Good,
right.
good, good.
So we're going to talk about building wealth and through real estate investing. We're going to do it through talking about real life case studies of our real estate investors, our agent investors that are part of the brokerage. They're going to tell stories of examples of some things that they've done. I just want to say that we're all probably here as a means to make more money and to build generational wealth. And that's why I got into real estate investing initially many years ago, is to build wealth and passive income. Most of you guys either work a 9 to 5 job, or I see a lot of you guys sell real estate. That is good. You can make a great living, but you're not going to become wealthy just working 9 to 5 or just selling real estate. That's called active income. It's not until you start investing and letting your money work for you that you become wealthy. That's called passive income. And so for us, we want to bring more and more passive income into our lives. And that's the challenge. And then oftentimes we do that through multiple streams of income. And so we've got to have multiple streams of income. Real estate investing can be another stream of income for you guys. And depending on, what your goals are for your life. And again, there's nothing wrong with active income, but have a source of passive income to go along with that in order to build wealth, retire financially free, leave a legacy, become wealthy, all of those things. And one of the ways, and in my opinion, one of the best ways is through real estate investing. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Within real estate investing, there's two strategies. There's the buy for cash strategy, where you invest in something and you make cash from it. That's wholesaling real estate and fixing and flipping real estate. That's your cash strategy, which is a great strategy. But again, the cash strategy is active income. You sell a property one time, you get paid that one time. You wholesale a property that one time. It's great money. In our area, we average somewhere around $20,000 on a wholesale deal, but you just get paid that one time. The other investment strategy is your buy for cash. Buy for cash. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Buy for cash flow, and equity, or your buy and hold strategy. That's buying and holding residential, commercial, Airbnb, assisted living facilities. That's your passive income strategy. Your passive income strategy, you buy the property one time and you get paid over and over and over again. Your children can take over that property and they can get paid if you take care of that property. And when you think about retirement, you want to have that buy and hold strategy so that you can retire financially free and have that passive income coming in for the rest of your life and the rest of your children's life. Now, what we do as investors is we use both strategies, because with the buy and hold strategy, you need cash. Where's the cash going to come from? Well, the cash can come from your buy for cash strategy. So you wholesale. A lot of our investors will maybe wholesale a property and then use that cash to then buy and hold, or flip a property and use that cash to buy and hold. That's a great strategy. Or they'll use the BRRRR method. BRRRR is BRRRR, where they'll buy a property right, they'll renovate the property, they'll rent the property out, then refinance, get all their money back, and then repeat the process. And so a lot of us utilize the BRRRR method. We'll give you many examples of a lot of what I just talked about. We've got a few people here in the audience that will come up and speak. But first, we have Miss Danielle. Danielle is in the house. Give her a hand. So Danielle, first tell us, how did you get started investing in real estate?
Actually, I got involved like years ago, but just by accident. We had bought a house that one of our friends had owned, but they was going to go to foreclosure. We would just kind of save their house, and it just kind of piqued my interest. But I didn't really get into full fledged until actually I got my real estate license, and I'm a agent investor as well. And so Greg will always say, "You got to invest. You got to invest. You got to invest." And so I think that's more or less how I got involved, just kind of being plugged in and just listening. And so I think when you're a real estate agent, it's kind of hard to kind of think about investing because when the blurred lines. But I love investing. It it has changed my life. So um, that's kind of how I got into just listening and just kind of just doing it. Just jumped out there and did it.
And are you a full-time investor? What do you do full-time?
I work full time too. So, but I work full time because I have a lot of leeway and leverage, and the job that I do kind of leads me into real estate as well, with properties and things like that. But I'm more of an investor than an agent. So, which is also a good thing because I can list and sell my own properties, and it's just knowledgeable to be an agent as well.
And so Danielle actually, her and I did a deal together a couple years ago in Trinidad, where she put a property under contract and wholesaled the property to me. But what you've got some property that you've done in the past. Which one do you want to talk about?
Well, actually, I just did a wholesale deal last week. So last week was my eighth wholesale property this year. My goal was to do 4 buy and holds, but just the interest rate, I'm trying to rebrand. There's some things personal that I just didn't feel like doing at the moment. But wholesale money is really good, so I have to get one property this year. That's always a goal. To buy and hold for generational wealth. So if you don't do it, if my goal was 4 every quarter, but it now is 1 because of the fact I've already made the money. I don't have a problem with the down payment. If I have to renovate it myself, I have the cash to do that. So
And so I know that you bought a property. I think it was last year in Baltimore. Barbara had asked about Baltimore. Tell us a little bit about that one. How did you find that property, and what did you do with it?
Well, I bought 2 in Baltimore last year, but the last one was the Airbnb. It was actually I got it on Ashland auction, and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to do the auction because it was kind of like new territory. But I just like let me just try it. Won the auction, and then Tasha, they actually financed the property for me. And the good thing was when I had they financed, I was going to do a hard money, and I'm glad I didn't because the interest rates had changed. And Tasha and we just kind of like battled this thing out. So kudos to Tasha always about this property. And and so I was like, I don't know what I wanted to do with it, but I knew when I initially sold, when I talked, I said, don't you think this is a cute Airbnb? So that's how I ended up making it an Airbnb. And so, and I also do traveling nurses in that property too.
And so you did an Airbnb. I know our coaching program, we went to your property and took a look at it. How's that one going?
It's going, yeah, it's cash flowing. So on an average, it depends if it's nursing or if it's Airbnb. So if it's nursing, it's like $1,000 cash flow. But if it's Airbnb, it can fluctuate. I can do from 1,000 to maybe like $4,000. It depends on the weekends and how much it's renting for.
And so so you got contractors to renovate that property. Then you staged it. Where'd you get your contractors from?
So I have a group with inside of the Platinum Group. We also have a group. So we just kind of like, okay, what's the contractor? Who is this? And so I got this particular contractor from one, just a word of mouth from one of the people that was in the group. And so now I'll use 4 contractors, but I kind of use them consistently, but it all depends on the area that I'm using.
And what have been lessons learned with your investing?
So Baltimore, one of my first properties in Baltimore, I had planned to get in and get out. So I used personal lines of credit. I don't recommend personal lines of credit because it's tricky, because if you're trying to get in and get out, something can always happen. So what I did was I used personal lines of credit. And so I had planned to flip this property and get out within 6 months. However, the property didn't have a water meter. And so I didn't think about this. So it didn't have a water meter. So which means I had to go to Baltimore County to try to get this water on. and it took me over a year and a half to get this water in Baltimore. So of course contracts can do what they need to do. Personal lines of credits are due. So I've been paying it out of my own pocket because my anticipation didn't turn out like it's supposed to. So you win some, you lose some. So it's not always, like, oh, well, you see everything that happens and you made all this money, but you also can lose a lot of money too.
And what, go ahead, question?
I have a question on that. So did you not get a home inspection? Is that what caused you?
No. So in Baltimore, when you're doing investments, you normally don't get a home inspection.
Okay.
So it was this part, I paid $23,000 cash for it. And then with the personal lines of credit, I fixed it up. So it's just it was like pretty much a shell. It had a really good structure. And so again, it's just the things you don't look for, you don't know. And it's just learning experiences, when you go into, especially Baltimore.
What advice would you give? Because I feel like you make it sound easy. Is it easy?
No, it's not easy. But if you get around the right people to kind of guide you and mentor you and hold you accountable, anything's possible. So you just got to do it. I mean, you just really you sit in these classes over and over and over again. You're like, okay, well, maybe next time. I'm thinking about it. Well, maybe next time. Well, next time is going to be a next time. And then, you just kind of just still sitting here coming back into the classroom. Because I did the same thing. I was studying these classes and I got all these notebooks and notes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. But if you don't do it, you just won't do it. And I'm glad I did.
And so what's your motivation? What keeps you going?
I like to travel. I do. Actually next month I'm going to Greece. I just came back from South Africa. I went to Vegas for the fight. The beginning of the year, I went to the Virgin Cruise, went to Cuba and Dominican. So, but my lifestyle, I'm able to do this without missing a beat because I have the finances to do that. My kids are grown now. My last child, he get ready to go to the Marines. So, but they're watching me. And so, now I'm living my own life. And so I was always doing something for somebody else. And now I'm just like, okay, well, this is my time. So what's motivating me is me. I can do what I want to do when I want to do. If I decide to go to work, I'm not going to go to work. If I decide I'm on investing full time, like last week, my wholesale deal was $60,000. So that's a good come up. And think about it, I've done 8 of those, and it's June. So I'm afforded to do what I want to do. Again, I haven't bought the property this year because I'm rebranding. I'm doing some other things.
Held the property.
Yeah, I haven't held it because of the fact, just some things that I got going on that, I just want to make sure that my time is able to make sure I flip that property or buy and hold like I want to.
Barbara?
What area are you going to?
Anywhere. I can do it out of state. Locally, I normally do it in this area. But anywhere, you can wholesale anywhere.
What's your favorite marketing tool for wholesale?
Right now, my favorite is word of mouth because I branded myself enough people to come to me. I do market. I send out the flyers. I don't do driving by dogs as much because I'm busy. But I have like bird dogs. They'll email me or text me like I just got 11 properties that somebody just sent me last week. So those are things I have to research. And then I have to time block because then I have to research those properties. And so that's the work. So, but I don't have a particular way. It just kind of, comes to me, but more or less I've branded myself I've only been doing this for like 3 years. So I branded myself to make sure that someone's always reaching out to me.
Danielle, more importantly, do you have a schedule in which you're going to do the work? When you say do the work,
so yes and no, because when the summer comes, you kind of you vacation and things happen, but more or less like I get up in the morning. I try to get up a little earlier and kind of plan out what I the night before. So I have to literally write my goals down because we're busy, and if I say I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And then I'll do like a check mark, but I don't get to everything, but I have to get to something. So I have to do something every day. And if it's only 15 minutes, if it's an hour, whatever I have, but I have to do something. And so my struggle right now, so I try to time block. And sometimes they get difficult too, but if you want to invest in yourself, you're going to have to time block. You're going to have to take the time to, do what you want to do.
And so Danielle, real estate investing is a male-dominated field. Have you experienced any challenges being a female?
I did at first when I got into the business, because contractors, they take advantage of you because you don't know, or they think you don't know. And they kind of treat us different between the contractors. But what I've noticed now, as females, we kind of gather together and we kind of use each other. So it's kind of like we kind of not depend on the male that much because we're doing the same thing that they're doing, and we're making it happen.
All right. And so we do see more and more females getting into real estate investing, both flipping properties, buying and holding properties, and wholesale. Any other questions for Danielle?
What market, like, do you do probates or pre-foreclosures, or you just do anything that comes?
Anything, but what I would suggest is find what works for you, and do that, because what happens is if I'm chasing probates, I'm chasing tax liens, I'm chasing this, and you'll never be an expert of any of it because you're chasing too many things. So find what you like, what works for you, and just kind of just do it.
I think that, Danielle, as I kind of scan the audience, I think one of the biggest challenges that people have is they feel like they don't have the resources or the coaching or the mentorship to do this. They feel like they're out on their own. What would you say to them?
So I would definitely get into a coaching program, and if it's not Greg's program, it's somebody because when you get out there by yourself, you don't know what to do. You make mistakes, you lose money. But anybody in this audience, you can go out and drive and look for property. So when you say drive by dogs, the abandoned properties, if the grass is high, you got mail, you kind of know when the property is abandoned. You can go to Google and type in that address, and maybe the phone numbers will come up. Call the people. You can send letters to the property, or they might have another property that they actually live in. Those are things, but you have to be consistent at it because it's not going to just happen overnight. My success, his success is not going to be your success. Your journey is your journey, but you have to start somewhere. It doesn't cost you anything to go out here and ride around and write properties down and go move.
Any questions?
I came in late. My apologies. Did you talk about where you get your capital to purchase properties?
Well, most of my capital comes from wholesale deals.
Okay. How did you get started? Where did you get the seed money?
From here? No. So what a wholesale deal is, I found a property, and so with Greg's teaching, and he, when Greg talks, it's kind of like, I hear you, So, but I appreciate that because when you get started, and I found a property, and between him and Marquise, it's like you gotta get busy. So Marquise would call like, "Light skin, what you doing? You gotta get busy." And so and I appreciate that because they push me. And that's, again, you got to be around those people that's going, they see it in you, but sometimes somebody else got to bring it out of you. And so when I went to Greg, he walked me through everything, gave me the paperwork. So it was nothing that I had to do except for I knew my numbers because he taught me the numbers. So he couldn't cheat me with my numbers because he taught it to me, right? So, but I knew that, and so
I feel like you cheated me.
So, but yeah, again, when you find a property, somebody, I'm a host, I'm a cash buyer, he's a cash buyer. You have so many people in this audience is cash buyer. But when you go to these places like this, always ask who's the cash buyer because that's the person that's going to buy your property. And if you have a wholesale deal, you don't have a wholesale deal now unless you have a cash buyer. I got the property, talked to Greg. He did everything I needed to do, gave me the paperwork. We negotiated kind of. And then, and there's nothing else I had to do, not my own credit, not my own money, not anything. And then that's how I think it was like $45,000. And it actually changes your life. It does. And then you can do that 10, 20 times. And yeah.
Until you become your own lender.
Absolutely. You can
I
become.
can, but I don't like to use my own money. I still use other people's money. I do.
Go ahead.
I was wondering,
That's okay.
I want to address her question. You asked how she got her money to invest. As I said earlier, one way to do that is to wholesale. And so that's what she's doing this year. She's wholesaling properties, and she's going to use some of that cash to then buy and hold a property. And so if you don't have the cash, if you haven't saved it, if you don't have a 401k, if you don't have cash value in a life insurance policy, then you wholesale a property and you start teaching yourself how to find properties, how to write contracts, all of those things, work on your credit if your credit needs to be worked on. But now you have the money to then buy and hold. Everybody in here, your goal should be to buy and hold one property a year. That's how you build wealth. And so that's how you get the money. And then to your point, there's ways to finance yourself, like you said. And one of the ways, I'll get Sylvia up here in a few minutes, is through, we always want to use other people's money to build our wealth. So we're building our wealth on using other people's money, whether it's a hard money lender, private lender, a bank. We'll use our own insurance policy, somebody else's 401k, solo 401k. But we want to use other people's money and so that's what we do.
Yeah, but I think what she really hit on was that you ask for cash buyers. You look to find
Absolutely, yes.
cash buyers, someone that end buyer that will, you have someone that you can call and say, I have this property, are you interested? That kind of thing. You have a list like that would be great.
So you build your list.
Yeah.
Every time you come to one of these, and I used to put it on a sheet. I put everything in my phone, and if you look at my phone, it just say cash buyers. So I can type cash buyers, and I just got all these cash buyers. So you have to network. You gotta talk. You gotta, And also to answer her question, I also did a personal line of credit before too, and then you can do a joint venture. So I might have the cash, you might have the credit, we might go into it, or you might be a contractor, and I might have the cash, or vice versa. So that's also a way that you can get started.
So have you done like equity loans against like your existing property?
No, and I haven't. I probably would never do that.
All right, any other questions? Go ahead.
I thought of it.
Okay,
So
this your last question.
Think about it. These are all the things that stop me. So I was wondering, because you said it's your agent, right? When you did your wholesale deal, are you using your realtor or?
No, I have an LLC.
Okay.
So everything I do is in my LLC.
Mhm.
So my real estate business is totally separate from my investment business.
Mhm. So then you have created your own initial contract and your own assignment contract?
It's all the same contract. So it's universal that we use the same contract. It's very simple. It's nothing like an agent contract. When you look at it, you're like, oh, this is really simple.
So we use an investor contract. And most of the properties that we purchase are off market. They're not in the MLS, they're off market. So they're not governed by the Board of Realtors.
Mhm.
All she has to do, being a real estate agent, is just disclose. That's all she's got to do. Just disclose that she's an agent. And so by doing that, it lets the seller know and anybody else in the deal know that she has a real estate license, but it's not governed by any, realtor body. And she uses an investor contract that we provided that's very investor friendly.
Okay, so you provide those. Okay.
You actually have that in your Coach Accountable. Keith, you want to get on her?
Not-
Look, I got sheets and sheets of
She's in our coaching program, so she
I got
has.
sheets and sheets of stuff I've studied.
No, it's not.
No,
It's
it's in
Keith's
the
fault.
S call.
It's Keith's fault. It's not your fault.
VRS forms.
It's Keith's fault.
I was like, I'm not doing it for free.
I'm not even blaming you.
I
I'm
haven't
gonna,
gotten there yet.
Keith can't eat lunch. It just keeps on.
I haven't gotten to it yet.
All right.
I have one more question.
Okay, we got to bring the rock star up.
Oh, okay.
Can this be the last
I
question?
promise, it's really short. Do you all purchase like liability insurance to cover your LLCs? when you get this?
Liability insurance, no.
No, you've never had to use that?
You did a good job, girl. You did a good job. All right, rock star.
All right, I'm gonna be out of here. I'm not staying.
You want to get a little potato chip or
No.
something? All right, well, thanks a lot.
All right.
I want you to give them your DM or.
So yeah, so if you want to reach me, my cell phone number, and I'm a cash buyer as well, 202-486-8825. And my name is Danielle. And so, and on Instagram, I'm investing_in heels. And that's my new branding name. So you'll see that soon. And then on Facebook, I'm Danielle Sampson-Parker. And on TikTok, I'm Danny Parker.
That's just too much to remember. That's just too much.
Everybody have different platforms. All right.
Sampson with the P.
Yes, SAMPSON. Oh, 202-486-8825.
Way to go, Danielle. So next we have Lyric, the rock star Hawkins, who's been, how long have you been with me, Lyric?
2004.
Since 2004, almost 20 years. You put up with me for almost 20 years. So Lyric, talk to us a little bit about your journey first through real estate. Then we'll get into investing.
Okay, cool beans. My name is Lyric Hawkins. I started real estate being an agent in 2004 with Greg's team. My goal was to open a daycare center at the time, and I said, God, if I could just only get $30,000, I could open up my daycare center. And it was kind of like, wow, well, where can I get this lump sum of money to get $30,000? Because I'm starting with zero. I said, oh, I'm gonna get a real estate license. Needless to say, I got $30,000 and did not open up a daycare because it got really, really good. And I said, ooh, that's a nice little business. So I started as a real estate agent, like I said. And the one thing I didn't know was the investing side. There's so many different sides to real estate. And when you're getting settlement after settlement, you're thinking that's the end all be all. But all you do is really spend it. So you're not really creating wealth and legacy for your children and your grandchildren that way, but you don't know what you don't know. And so early on in 2004, we just didn't know, but we know now.
And so what prompted you to really get into investing and start investing?
I'm tired of working. I'm clear I didn't want to physically work anymore. At 55, I was just like, this is for the birds. I don't really want to do it.
55?
I'm tired. I just want to sit on the beach in Miami, drink my virgin daiquiri and just have residual income, passive income coming in, whether it's through the online space, investing, my buy and holds. That's all I want to do. Because if the check can come in and I don't have to worry about physically doing something, I'm fine. I'm fine with a broken washer and dryer, or the grass need to be cut. You just call somebody and send it.
And so tell us what are you doing now? Because it seems like probably the last couple of years that you've it's sort of seems like it's sort of dominating your time, the real estate investing.
I don't know. I got the right team. So this time I barely went over there. And when I did, I just did a lot of videos and posting because I'm, very present online. So therefore it looks probably a little larger than life. But the project that I just finished, we have our final inspection Wednesday. I didn't do a whole lot, but I have the right team this time. And it took a long time because it was more than I thought initially. Because I was like, oh, this is cosmetic, and it wasn't. It's in DC. I don't know if DC is ever cosmetic. You know, you open up a wall, or you know, we had to bust up cement rather, and I was like, oh. So I learned a big lesson. My numbers are different than what I initially thought they would be. So there were some challenges there, and it took a little longer. So because it took longer, I kind of paused on getting more properties until I can get this one completed.
And so what are some of your goals? I see you investing here. Are you in Cleveland a lot?
I just got back from Cleveland. We looked at I think it was an 8-unit apartment building for $35,000.
Wow. You said an 8-unit for $35,000.
There's an 8-unit for $35,000. It was a wholesale deal, actually. And they are probably got to put about 200 in. But when you're holding it, because in Cleveland, they don't have really equity. That's not their thing. It's just cash flow. So if you want to check every month, then that's the place. If you think you're going to get equity, it's not the place. And they're different than we are here because some things are required, like air conditioning. Nobody has air conditioning. So, you know, that's a plus if you put it in there. Stainless steel is just not what they're used to. So if you put it in, it's a plus. But they're used to just very basic. Some of them don't even have stoves. They have 3 microwaves. So if you go in there and make it to where you would live in there, you can make a difference. So we're looking at properties there at the moment.
And when you say you're with like an investment group?
Actually, I try to keep a mentor in everything that I do. So my one of my mentors has properties there. So I just try not to do anything without being connected to somebody that's already done it. I don't really have a lot of time for mistakes, and I don't have a lot of money for mistakes. Because you already might run into a hiccup. That's the norm, but I don't want to have a hiccup because I didn't ask the right questions.
And that's what coaching does for you. Helps you minimize your mistakes,
Yes.
but it gets you to your goals a lot faster.
Yeah.
And so I'd advise everybody to get a coach. What have been, I asked Danielle this question, being a female, have you experienced any challenges being a female in a male-dominated industry?
I have. It's usually with contractors. And a wholesaler, come to think of it, they try to get over because they think you just don't know. And because I think I'm a heavy negotiator, but not only that, something I don't know, I'm like, hold that thought, it doesn't sound right. But I have enough people around me that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, this contractor is doing X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. I'm like, no, that's not right. Then I can go back. Like, even with lenders, I did a closing day before yesterday, and they wanted to put a UCC filing on there. And I saw it on the HUD, and I was like, I don't want that. But, you know, they're going to try their hand. And I had to say, wait a minute, we're not going to sell them. I can find another lender. Yes. So the UCC filing, and I had to, you know, I have one already because I got an SBA loan to purchase one of my buildings, my commercial building. So I thought it was kind of like a government thing, and I had no choice. So when I saw it come up years later, I kept saying, "Dang, it looks familiar." Don't quote me on what the UCC stands for. Basically, it's one of those things the lender can put on your property. Like if you default, in my mind, you just take the property, right? But it's an extra thing. They can come into your bank account and clear it out. Like it's some extra stuff. And I knew, so I don't want that. Just take the property. I don't need you in, you know, doing anything additional. But not only that, it's frowned upon if you're trying to get funding, like lines of credit, personal loan. If they say UCCs, it's a negative. And they don't, one, they may not fund you, or two, they'll give you half of what you probably could have got. And so when you see that, just don't think that it's okay. It's not.
Was that a commercial building?
Actually, it was on my condo, a condo that
You were refinancing.
it was a refi. Come to think of it, and I was like,
Where the UCC commercial was?
yeah, it was on my altar. I keep calling it
Is that
a
universal?
the altar now, right?
Commercial?
You know, it could have been a hood. It could have been a hood.
Is that universal commercial code? Maybe,
It could, I don't really remember.
but it wasn't.
Just don't get it.
Tarsha,
I promise you.
why don't you explain what that is?
It's the Uniform Commercial Code, and it's basically what Lyric just said. They basically, add another layer of a security interest on the property. And so it just makes it's about the position that the lender is in the event of default. And so they're basically allowing themselves to have a stronger foothold on the property in the event of default. But it's the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC.
And it goes on your credit report. That's the problem.
So is it required or it's not required?
It's not required, especially in the kind of loan that Lyric did. It's kind of the private lenders will decide the type of security interest or the interest that they want to place on your property when they're lending money. And in her instance, they already had the collateral, like she just said, the property itself, but they wanted to basically give additional notice to third parties that they had the lien on the property, and also kind of solidify their place in line, so to speak, in the event of default.
I just don't want
Valerie?
Larry, what would you do differently now if you were just starting out that you learned?
What are some of the lessons learned? Or what would you do differently?
I probably would have started earlier, and I would have never sold any of my properties. Because I had a condo behind Bowie Town Center. I should have never, ever sold that. And I had one in Turnberry, a townhouse. I should have never sold it. Because you don't know. And then if you sell it, you're like, oh, I made $100,000. Well, damn, I spent it.
It'd be worth 100,000 more now.
So I just would have did things differently. But I didn't know. All you know is equity. Oh, great, I got a little money.
And so last question, would you mind telling us, like, what does your pyramid look like now? Like, when you started, you were wholesaling, and then you wholesale for like 4 houses in 1 year to where you are now. What does your umbrella look like?
Actually, I didn't do wholesaling because I hate cold calling, and it's not gonna, I don't like it, but it works. So I don't want to say that it doesn't work. It works 100%. But I knew I didn't want to do it for real estate listings. So I knew I wasn't going to do it for that. So my first thing is starting small, like a condo. But I had saved some money because when I bought my house, being self-employed, as you know, it's difficult trying to prove your income. And Joe Neosi did my loan. He said, look, you got to have some money sitting in an account. So I started just saving a little bit every week, and I just kept going because I had it automatically put in there. And next thing I knew, hey, I got like 100,000. I'm doing good. But it took some time. But I didn't touch it until the right opportunity came. But then I was in the position, because during that time frame, yes, I've saved the money, but I also didn't buy anything or do anything, so my credit was right. So I just was positioned properly. So when the opportunity came, I was able, because I bought a commercial building to put my daycare center in. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cute, but that's not my generational wealth, because there's no real equity in it and things of that nature. I just run my business out of it. But then I said, well, let me get this condo, which I probably wouldn't do again, because it's a 2-bedroom. I'm like, oh, I'll put Section 8 in it, or I could Airbnb it. Ain't nobody Airbnb on 210, in the condos that I have. And then Section 8, most people need 3 bedrooms or more. So I don't think I would have done that again, but it's called experience. So when you go to the hard money lenders, how many deals have you done? Where I could add that to the place. So I kind of started there. My townhouse in DC, I found it on Instagram, and it was a wholesale deal. So I'm just adding as I go.
What's ultimately your goal? What do you have a certain number you want to get to? Certain amount of cash flow?
20 doors has been my number. my starting number, let me say that, because I have to go over 20 doors because I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I need at least have 100,000 coming in gross
Every month.
every month. That's gross. And it sounds a bit much to a lot of people.
It's not a lot to
It's
me.
not a lot to you. Great. I want
That's a good goal.
I want $100,000 a month. And the reason why I say that is because I have a couple daycare centers and it brings in 100,000, right? But my payroll is 65,000. My electric bill is 5,000. You know, so after you just dwindles down, it's like, I got 10,000 left with this headache and the stress. And that's what's making me make a shift because employees are special.
I've got special employees.
And I
They
just don't
special.
think, and I just don't think $10,000 is enough to deal with it. So I'm making shifts. But I'm using it as leverage because to the lenders, it looks good. But I'm real. It's nothing else.
So when she says it looks good to the lender, what she's saying is, number one, lenders looking for past performance. And then number two, lenders looking at your financial, personal financial statement.
Yeah.
And the more properties that you can put on there with equity, the more lines, higher lines of credit that they're going to give you. And so so when she says looks good to the lenders, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, it's leverage. And when you pull that bank statement, they're like, ooh, just don't ask me for the bottom line. Don't ask me for the net. But that's just real talk. It looks good.
What advice would you give them?
Get you a mentor, a coach, and a trainer, because all of them do something different. And you may have a coach in real estate, but you might want a trainer in marketing, because sometimes they don't do the same thing. So you may need more than one. And don't be scared to pay for one, because too many times we want to YouTube it and do the free classes and things of that nature. That's great. But I need to be able to pick up the phone and say, hey, like when I went to Cleveland, that ain't my market. I got to pick up the phone. Oh, y'all going to Cleveland? I'm going with you. They're like, come on. And these are people that are already doing it. And I can ask any question. I wouldn't do anything without that. And then when you build those relationships, then they'll say, hey, you want a partner? Of course I do, because I built those relationships with people that are already doing it. Hey, I may not have the credit. Hey, I may not have the money, but the relationship, it matters. And I didn't know that at first. So I wouldn't do anything without coaches and building relationships.
So I think that's great advice.
You mentioned that you did not like cold calling when you started, but what I didn't hear is what did you do to get that first deal?
As far as being an agent or an investor? The agent.
An investor.
The investor, I looked on the system like everybody else. And then I start online on social media. I'm always posting, yeah, I'm in my property, you know, oh, the door is red now. What color y'all think the door should be? Like, I say it so much that people pick up the phone and say, hey, my uncle died. You want to come look at this property? So I'm very living out loud that this is what I do. When I settled, it was a refi that I did the other day. But I had my granddaughter because I couldn't leave her at daycare. So I brought her in and I said, hey, we about to make a whole scene here. I said, hey, Story, she's 2. Hey, Story, what we doing today? We buying assets. I said, right, great job. So you sign your HUD right here and G-Mon going to sign. It was a big production. And so guess what? It looks like generational wealth. All she did was stamp the little notary thing, but it looks like
She
that.
couldn't go all the way down.
She
though.
couldn't go all the way down. But, you know, it's larger than life if you're looking from the outside in.
Right. So that particular deal that you got is because you had been in another property and then someone on social media called you about this property.
Right. And even when I'm looking at properties, I got the camera out. I may not be buying that. I'd be like, would y'all buy this one? It's a hoarder that lived in here. Look at all this stuff.
Right.
And I may not be buying it, but they know I'm in the market to buy it.
Right.
It's the presence that you put out.
It's true because my cleaner called me the other day and she said, Unika, she said, I'm in a house right now that cleaning up, it seems like something that you do, you just, you know, and because I know she cleans up all my houses, and so when she thought the owner was coming, she knew it was coming, turned out to be an agent, but she was marketing for me. This is what it's like, what I'm saying, so I get that, so thank you.
Yes, I put everything out there. I'm gonna put that I was here talking to you guys out there. And you know what that makes me look like? The expert. And I don't have 20 doors, but it appears that I'm the expert because he invited me. Yeah, and that's how it's gonna go down today. When I was back there, I was taking pictures like, look at the crowd. And I made sure not to go too far that way, because there ain't no people over there.
So look, the bottom line is, because you guys have questions about how do you find properties. And so for Lyric, it's branding. The best way to brand yourself is social media. And so you've got to figure out a way to find deals. If you don't get anything else out of today's Lunch and Learn, the question that you have to answer for yourself is, how do I find the next deal? That's the question I ask myself on a daily basis. How am I going to find the next deal? And the answer is, it's either with her, it's social media. With Danielle, it's networking. Steve Queen does a lot of networking. A lot of our agents, Tarsha's going to come up here and talk about auctions. And so she has found a number of properties at the auction. Some of our investors are driving for dollars. They're doing direct mail pieces to targeted lists like absentee owners, pre-foreclosure lists, equity lists. You can do a zip code, 20743 Capitol Heights. You can get a list for all the households that have 50% or more equity in those properties. And so marketing for real estate investing can be very predictable because you can target a certain segment, a certain targeted audience, and then just market to them. Cold calling, we've set up a virtual call center that Keith actually runs where we get lists. I get lists and they're just calling, they're calling as we speak, certain lists. And so for you, you've got to choose one of the things that I just mentioned and be great at it. Just choose one and be great at that and find some deals that way. Once you start finding deals that way and you're consistent with that one thing, then you add something else. But I don't want you to take from Lyric, Danielle, and whoever else comes up here and try to do everything. Do one thing and be great at that. But also choose the one thing that you can be consistent with. It's about being consistent. And so for me, when I first got started, direct mail was the easiest because it's like I could set it and forget it. I could target a certain audience in a certain geographical location.
There wasn't no social media when you started, Greg.
Well, these were just postcards. It's direct mail. She's trying to say I'm old. But no, but to her point, there wasn't. But there was direct mail. There's always been mail. There was mail way before I was born. Okay.
No,
they had the Pony Express.
Direct mail worked.
So direct mail worked for me when I first got started. And then I would read my first property I bought. It was an ad in the classified section of the Washington Post. So, but whatever it is, you've got to be consistent and you've got to answer the question for yourself. How am I going to find the next deal? You got to answer that question. And again, auctions, I think the majority of our investors are finding them at the auctions, right? Yeah. Anything else for Lyric?
Do you have your own social media?
I do. I'm a little anal. I'm working on it, but I do. It ain't easy because it takes being consistent, and that's the problem, being consistent. So always finding something to post. And then you should pre-plan. Let me say that, but I haven't done it, which makes it hard.
She creates her own content. And so where do they follow you at?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of them. And my handle is I am Lyric Hawkins on all platforms. So it doesn't make a difference where you go.
And so she does a great job on social media. You still have your
Rockstar 360.
yeah.
I do. And we do media and personal brand development. Yes, ma'am.
The question I have, the property that you're buying, the 8-unit building, and.
The one that I looked at in Cleveland.
Oh,
Yeah.
You haven't
We
decided.
haven't, yeah.
Oh, still working on numbers. Is that a joint venture that you're thinking about doing, or if
What-
you do?
We could because I went with a group,
Okay.
right? But for 35,000, I could pull my credit card out.
Right, but what you were talking about remodeling it or renovating it, and
I would probably go through Lima Capital and get a rehab loan. Yeah, and let them do it. So it just depends.
Yeah.
Especially when it's out of town. So
are you also set up as an LLC or S corp?
100% LLC. I'm getting ready to do an S corp with my granddaughter's name this week, but I'm only doing that because we want to do a group home. And so I know the money coming in for that particular business is going to be higher. So we're going to do that as an S corp because I already know going in it's going to make money.
Okay.
We always want to invest out of some type of corporation,
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
preferably an LLC.
It just makes me think of who was in the taxes. I mean, you can't always think of who. Not saying we're talking about that today, but I'm just saying.
Well, you gotta have a good
They
account.
have to know about the jurisdiction of that area.
Yeah.
I see you got the daycare. I mean, you talked about that being the goal initially, so you did get those.
I did eventually. It was way later though, like way late, like 2017, and I said this at 2004.
Now, do you own the building that the daycares are in?
I own one building and I lease the other one.
These ladies are doing it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's give Lyric a
Girl
hand.
power.
Thank you, Lyric. And so next we have Tarsha. You want to come up, Tarsha? Let's give Tarsha a hand. So Tarsha, you want to talk to us about, so what were you doing and why did you get into real estate investing?
So I've always been around it. My family was involved in it, so I always saw it growing up. And when I left college, the first place that I bought, I was just kind of looking for a property, and my father actually said to me, just go drive around the neighborhoods and go find one. And I had no idea, that sounded crazy to me, like, what do you mean drive around neighborhoods and go find a property? But I followed his advice and did just that. So I went, he told me, go to the neighborhoods and tell people that you're looking for a house, a place to live. And at the time, it didn't register what he was telling me to do. I just kind of followed the instruction. And so got my first property out of college, doing just that. What is now known as driving for dollars, but at the time I had no idea what I was doing. And then the next property, the same. He again told me, go to this neighborhood and find a property. And I remember, and this was all in New York. And so he said to me, that the neighborhood that he told me to go into, the only thing I knew of the neighborhood was a cemetery. And so I said, I don't want to live next to dead people. Why are you telling me to go to this neighborhood? But little did I know, what he knew was that the neighborhood was changing. And so again, it was just like me following what he told me to do. And I listened to everybody talk, or Danielle and Lyric talk about mentors or people around you. And I think it's so true. But you also have to listen to the people around you, because sometimes, even if you don't know, sometimes just follow the instruction, and eventually you'll be able to look back and say, wow, I'm glad I listened. And so that's how it started for me.
And so you kind of parlayed that in New York. What did you end up buying? Because I know you have a 2-unit in Brooklyn, New York. And so how did you come about buying that property?
So Brooklyn is a very different market than the DMV area. It's much more expensive, and it's really hard to kind of tap in if you don't know what you're doing, even more so than here. And so like I said, for me, it was trying to find neighborhoods just like here. No matter where you are, you find the neighborhood that's gentrifying. You buy low and it builds an equity, and then over time, that's how you realize your investment. And so the same thing in New York. But the New York prices were like $700,000 for something that you wouldn't put a dog in, like literally. It's bad. But I just kept looking and persevering. And what happened for me was in 2008, the prices were really, really high, as everyone knows. And then the market crashed. And so the prices just tanked. And so that was the time I jumped in very quickly. And so I was lucky to have seen many, many properties prior to that I could not afford. And then when the market tanked, I went back and said, are you ready to sell now? And I remember somebody Lyric was talking about, or Danielle was talking about how people can be very aggressive. I remember the person who owned the house was extremely aggressive, but I held my gun, and I remember calling another friend like, oh, they're being so mean. And he was like, just keep pushing, keep pushing. And I was able to get it like maybe $500,000 less than what it was at the height of the market.
And so you parlayed that experience to, you came here for work, and then what's it been like here investing?
So interestingly, when I came here, I still, even though I had those properties, I still did not know what I was doing. I had no clue. I didn't know how to leverage resources. I didn't know how to find properties that were less expensive, and just didn't have a clue. Even though I had properties, I didn't know how to scale. I didn't know how to buy 1 or 2 or 3 and leverage those properties to get more. And a friend of mine who also, her family also has a lot of real estate, she said, go to Greg Bennett's, I think you had it at like the Greenbelt Marriott.
Yeah.
And so my friend and I went to that event, and funny enough, Barbara was on the stage at the time. And I think Carlos was on the stage, and April. And that was my first time being introduced to this group now, 6-7 years ago. And I remember being so inspired by Barbara. And she talked a lot about wholesaling at the time and everything that she was doing. And I remember thinking, wow, like, look how young she is. But she was so excited, and she had so much enthusiasm about what she was doing. And so I remember calling you, and you were doing wholesaling and all kinds of things. And so she shared a lot of information. And so being a part of this group, a part of this community, really taught me how to think very, very differently about money, about leveraging assets to get more assets, and really about educating yourself and changing your mindset. And so that's how I was introduced to this area. So I started buying properties actually first I started in DC, and Greg encouraged me to, again, just get out of my comfort zone and walk the neighborhoods. But now I was associating the walking with the neighborhoods and tapping on people's doors in a very different way than, 10 years earlier. Now it was for the purpose of trying to leverage the asset to get more assets. And so that's what I first started doing. Was I identified an area here, and I knew of the area because somebody in Brooklyn their brother had purchased a home, sold it, and made like $300,000. And so she told me, go to that neighborhood and walk around. So that's what I did. And that ended up being in Brookland, DC. And so I just became familiar with that area. I probably could tell you every house in that zip code right now, and who would live there and what happened, because I really started to get to know the people. I walked the neighborhoods with my kids, with my nieces, and just asked people, do you know of anyone that's interested in selling a home? And so from doing that, I was able to get one property that I kept for myself and one that I gave to my sister. And then from there, I shifted to Baltimore because I wanted to buy many more, and the price point is much lower there. And so that was my next stop, was Baltimore. And again, at the time, now the financing piece came in. And so Greg kept saying, use other people's money, use other people's money. And I didn't really know exactly what that, I mean, conceptually, you know what that means, but putting pen to paper and actually being able to leverage lenders or other people, I didn't quite understand. So at first he told me just get a line of credit. I was denied the line of credit, but kept pushing. And I think for me, if you were to ask me what to tell people, it's to be consistent, don't give up, keep pushing no matter what. And so I got the line of credit, was able to acquire a few properties there. And then I think there was another shift, COVID. And so lenders stopped with the lines of credit and now kind of will give you financing based on an individual property more so than lines of credit, even though that still exists.
So tell them about the latest project on Hardwick Ardmore Road.
So I have to laugh again because I remember when I started this and just how I got it. I remember everyone kept saying word of mouth. And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to get a property by word of mouth. Like I'm going to have to do something to get properties because people don't know me here. They don't know I'm an investor. And so I kind of did what Lyric said not to do. I did everything. I did postcards. I did bandit signs. I knocked on doors. I put up door hangers. I was literally doing everything, but then didn't do anything with consistency. But then at the same time, with Greg's recommendation, I started to help him with the title company and with financing. So people started to learn that I was an investor. And so in that context, I was able to identify a home here in PG County. And I like PG County because it's a good balance between DC being a very high price point and Baltimore being a low price point, but not having the equity. And so this recent house, I was able to get, somebody called me and said, I hear you're an investor. This woman is looking to sell her home. And so I quickly ran over there and saw the home, and she was asking like $190 for it. And I was told that the home was worth about $300,000. And so I said, okay, well, I know from Greg that it's about half. So you should be really getting it for about $150. And so I said, okay, this would be it's a three bedroom on one level, 2 bedrooms in the basement, but they did not have the egress windows in the basement. And so ultimately I negotiated $175 because I knew I wanted to hold it and not flip it. And so I figured over time, given that it's PG County, the equity would grow and it would still, the numbers would still work. And so that's exactly what happened. I gave her $175, but I did it a little bit differently. I didn't give her all the money up front. I gave her a portion of the money in the beginning and then spread out the rest of the payments over time. So it was, again, another strategy that I learned in this group is creative financing. So typically I would have just given her all the money up front, but I learned from Greg that you don't always have to do that. You can have seller financing, you can agree to do things differently. And so that's what I did here. I got a hard money loan for a bulk of the money up front and then agreed to pay her the remainder over time. And so that's what I did. And I will hold that property. It's in 20774 zip code, which is like, they say it's Springdale, but I guess it's not quite Upper Marlboro, but the zip code is Springdale. Mm-hmm. And so another thing that I did recently was join a committee.
It's almost Glenarden Landover. Where is it, Steve?
Springdale. Originally called Ardmore. The newer generation now named it Springdale. When I was living there, it was Ardmore. I mean, when my parents lived there, it was Ardmore.
And so the property so I bought it about a year ago. And in the year, it has increased about 100,000 in value. So it's worth about 400,000 now. And I see why, because Caruso Homes is like building a bunch of new homes there. And there's a lot of building going on in that immediate area. And so my plan is to, what I was saying is I also joined a committee, a PG County committee that talks about Section 8 housing in the county. And so I learned a lot about how the Section 8 rental market is set but then also how to maximize them giving you the money for the property. So that will rent for about $4,000 a month. And then, over time I can pull the cash out of it, and I want to buy multifamilies. And so that's my next step. Greg and I always have the debate about whether I should stick to, or he sticks to single family. He says that you buy what you can get, and I agree. But I also think that you get what you want. And so, I remember when he said, I'm going to start in Baltimore, and he came to an event like this and said, I'm buying in Baltimore. And now all of a sudden everybody was sending him deals in Baltimore.
The laws of attraction.
Yes, the laws of attraction. And so I'm putting it out there, multifamily properties. That's what I want next. I think that for me, that's my idea of growing and success, is being able to scale in that way. And so that's going to be my focus going.
So this property, you've been able to pay off the hard money lender, and you paid the lady off. So you own this free and clear?
Yes, I own it for free.
And so what is your goal? Are you going to keep it free and clear, or are you going to eventually pull some cash out?
Yeah, so I'm going to pull cash out, because I think a lot of people debate about whether to hold their properties free and clear or to leverage the money in the property to buy more. And I think just intuitively for me, it makes sense to me to leverage that money to buy more, because over time, now it's going to be $4,000 a month in this property. But if I take $100,000 out and use 20% down on 4 more properties, now I have the rental income from 4 more properties plus this property, and that's how you scale financially. And that's how you get the passive income to go on the trips and to live the lifestyle that you want and live in the properties that you want. So my goal is to take that money to buy more properties and to use that income to then leverage more and to use that income for my quality of life.
What about the properties in New York City? Are you going to do the same thing?
Yeah, so that property is worth a lot of money. It's probably
What's a lot? What's a lot? I want to know. You guys want to know, right?
Yeah,
What's a lot? Throw out a number.
I think it's worth $4 million now. And it believe me, you guys, I promise you, I would have never imagined. Like, I paid $800 for it, and that was I probably paid a little bit, 9 something for it. The loan was $800, and that was in 2009. And so the property values in New York are just very different here. I have not thought about pulling the money out of it just yet, because it would have been a good time during COVID when the rates were low. But in New York, the interest rates and the lenders, it's a little bit different there. And so I think I'll wait until my kids are a little bit older and probably pull it out and help them to start buying assets and property. And I also look at it as an opportunity to kind of pay for their college. And so I'll allow it to continue to grow. But I think eventually, I think it's just smart. It's leveraging the asset, take out the money and buy more properties. So definitely over time, I probably would do that. And of course, there's a mortgage on it. There are tenants in it and they're paying the mortgage. But I do think it's a good idea to leverage those properties and take out the money.
Any challenges being a female in this industry?
It's challenging. But I think like anything else, you have to persevere. They try to knock you down. They try you, they insult you, they question your intelligence, they question your knowledge. I just had an incident on Saturday where I just knew I was right, but so I kind of said to myself, okay, now I have to learn HVAC, plumbing, drywall, electric, like I have to learn everything to be able to articulate it in a way that they can see that you know what you're talking about. Because honestly, men probably don't have to articulate it. They just say, okay, whatever you want. But I think as women, like anything else, frankly, even being a minority in another space, you always have to be better than everybody else. And I think as women, we have to be better than men because in order to get half a respect, right? And it's just the way it is. And so on Saturday, so this is something so minor, but I think it makes the point. The washer and dryer is kind of adjacent to the same wall as the dishwasher. And it's common sense, you run the plumbing through the wall into the what is it called when, like, where all the dirty water goes?
To the drain?
Into the drain.
The drain pipe?
Into the drain pipe. And he's like, no, I'm gonna take the plastic and run it around the cabinets and because he didn't want to run the piping into the wall. And I'm like, but when the tenant starts opening up the cabinets and putting the pots and pans, isn't that gonna cause the plastic piping to break and then I have to deal with the leak? No, that's not true. And so I had to be cool and calm and just take it easy. I stepped outside and I called my father and I was like, I need you on this call to put this guy in his place because he's not respecting me. And my father was like, get me on the phone now. And he's like, and let him know I'm on the phone. And so I put my father on FaceTime and he was like, let's walk through this again. You explain to me what you want to do. And exactly what I said is what my father said, but it was like, yes, sir. Right. And he's like, you do whatever she tells you to do. And that was it. And he's like, yes, sir, I will do whatever she tells me to do. And so sometimes you have to leverage other people to get done what you know is right. And that's what we go through. But we go through it because I kept saying to myself, I need that $4,000 a month. And I need to take care of my children and I need to get this project over with so I can move on to the next one. And so we do what we have to do. We experience it as women, we experience it as Black people in other settings, and we just keep pushing. And we keep pushing because in our minds, we know what our goals are and we know what we want to do and what we want to achieve, and we can't let anything or anyone stop us.
Steve. When she started talking, I was getting ready to walk out.
I know. I think it's real, and I think it's for you guys. You guys face challenges too, and you persevere and you go through them. And it's not a ding on men. It's just the way it is. Just the way what we experience in any setting. Sometimes it's economics, right? Like you walk into a place and some people might treat you differently because they think that you don't have money or your skin color or who you are. And I think it's all of us. We all experiencing it in different settings and we just have to persevere. And so it's not trying to offend you as a man. It's just that it's what we experience.
What advice would you give?
I think the advice that I would give is we have to change our mindset. We have to change our mindset about financial literacy. We have to change our mindset about how big our goals are. We have to change our mindset about coming together collectively as a people and helping each other. Because when you look at other communities, they do that. They help each other, they lean on each other, they help each other rise. If you go to the nail salon, the employees and the owners all look the same. If you go to the bagel shop in New York, everybody there is supporting each other. They're a family, they're doing it together. And I think we have to think that way and help each other and be supportive of one each other, and then change our individual mindset to want to win and to want to get to the highest of heights in everything that we do. And so I encourage all of us to stick to each other, help each other, but then also individually change your mindset about how you think about money. On the lending side, I help on the lending side, and I see that a lot of us don't have a lot of money. We don't necessarily have the legacy of money that I see in other communities, right? And so it's not our fault, but how do we change that narrative? And we change it by the things that we buy, the things that we don't buy, and the way we spend money. I had a loan the other day where the woman went out the day before and bought a Land Rover before settlement, 2 days before settlement. And it's a mindset. It's our mindset. And so we have to think about that and change it. And you guys are here because obviously you have a different mindset. You want more. And I think we just need to continue to do that. But then also tell yourself that you can do it and that you can achieve and that you will be highly successful. $100,000 is not a lot of money. $100,000 is a start. And we have to think big. We have to think, okay, how can we get $500,000 a month? How can we get millions in the bank just like everybody else? And I think it's about our mind, the way we think about money, the way we think about ourselves, and the confidence that we have that we can be leaders and wealthy. And I think that if we do that, 10 years from now, we're all in a much better position. And then we can tell those behind us, either our children, our grandchildren, our friends, we did it, so you can do it too.
Well. Any questions for Tarsha? I think she kind of said it all. I'm thinking, how can I motivate them? I know. But I think everything she said is right. So now you guys, it's just time to take action. You've got to find a way within yourself to take action, like she has done, like Lyric has done, Danielle, like I started buying houses at 23 years old. You've got to take action. You've got to know that there's resources around you that will not allow you to fail, but you've got to reach out and you've got to get the resources. But then, like she said, it's all in your mind. And what they say, as a man thinketh, so is he. You've got to know that it's out here. If I can do it, if she can do it, Danielle, Lyric, and many others in this crowd who have done it, if they can do it, you can do it too. I think one of the problems is, and I even see it from today, is that we hold ourselves back. We get analysis paralysis. We just don't go out and do it. Like I have done it. Like Steve, one of my agents, Eric has done it. A number of you guys have done it, but you guys have to do it. You got to get out there and use us. We have a great coaching program. We have the best coaching program in the DMV, led by Keith Bennett. Keith, you want to stand up real quick and just tell them real quick about our program?
Let me first say to everyone, make sure you fill out the purple form. We always want to know content, what is the best content for you guys. And also this is going to serve, I believe, Greg, as your ticket for this.
Yeah, we're doing a raffle on this. Somebody here is going to walk away with this 55-inch TV.
But you can't get it until you fill out the form. So, as all the panelists have said, the coaching program or having a coach, having a mentor is critical. And so, Greg has the prescription. So you don't have to think of what to do. It's about accepting Greg's prescription and doing. We got to do more. And so in your program, we have some products. I don't want to spend too much time talking about, but for $1, you can sign up and be in our inner circle group. And you pay $97 thereafter, but $1, and you can start learning. We have a platinum coaching program as well. $3,500 for 6 months. We discounted that to $2,500, 6 months. Now we're going to hold your hand every step of the way and get you going. It's June right now. Let's finish the year strong. These events right here are good, but you need more than that. You need to be connected to people and inspire people, joint venture with people. And that's what we have in our coaching program. So I'm going to be here, and we can set an appointment, a free 30-minute, 45-minute strategy session to get you going. Doesn't cost you a nickel.
And so your excuse cannot be, I don't have the resources, I don't have the coaching, the mentorship. That is not going to be your excuse not to succeed, because we are here. The reason why you're not going to be successful is because you just haven't taken action. But you got to put that foot in front of you and go for it with no hesitation. There'll be some hesitation, but just know we are not going to allow you to fail. I went to 2 properties this week with two of my coaching students, And in one, I said, this is not a good deal. And they were eager. No, we're not doing this. I can't guarantee you're going to succeed. And so that's where we are. We want to see our success is your success. We want everybody to win. We want to build generational wealth. There's a wealth gap that we have with Black and brown people that we want to try to close the gap. And real estate investing is one way to close that gap. Another way is financial services. Sylvia, did you want to say anything?
Well, I wasn't prepared, but.
You can stand up, Sylvia. Let's see if you can stand. Look at Sylvia. Come a little closer, Sylvia. So Sylvia heads our financial services company, Big Life Financial Services, and just talk a little bit about some of the products that would help them, like the IUL.
Well, we have a product, like you said, the IUL, Index Universal Life. This product is what people are using now as their own bank, because they're able, once you have enough money accumulated in your policy, you can use it to buy an investment home as a down payment for your investment home, and buy the house. And he can tell you better about that because he was able to do that with his daughter. And you can buy anything that you want to buy that sometimes we don't have the money with these type of policy. It also have living benefits, which means that you're able to use the policy while you're still alive. You don't have to wait to die to use the policy. If you have a chronic, yeah, because most policies, a lot of people don't want to buy insurance because they're not the one using it. They're not the one, taking advantage of that policy. But when you know you can use it while you're still alive, it gives you an incentive to buy it. So these policies, like I said, if you have a chronic illness, a critical or a terminal illness, or even Alzheimer, you're able to get a lump sum amount of money to use it, because sometimes when you get sick, you have health insurance. Your health insurance only covers your medical bill, but doesn't pay for your mortgage or rent or food. Sometimes we need to eat, right? And to get well, to heal. And so you're able to use that money because you're not working. And this is when you need money the most, when you get sick. And we all get sick, seriously ill. Nowadays, a lot of people, even at a very young age, we get sick. So having one of these policies will protect your assets. You don't have to lose your home because you got sick. And if you want to invest, since you're coming to the coaching and all of this, and if you're becoming an investor, you can start there, because these policies, they grow pretty quick because they have, I'll give you just a moment, they have the way the money accumulates, it's compounded. And it grows pretty fast. At the beginning, it looks like nothing is happening, not much is happening. But then within a few years, your money starts accumulating. So this is a great way to protect your asset and to accumulate wealth. Yes, ma'am. What is your question?
How long do you have to wait before you can actually use the money in the cash, the cash price?
As soon as you have money you can start using it. But normally, depending on how much you are putting into the policy, that's how much you'll have. Usually after the second, third year, you see a significant amount of money.
Are you able to put more? So let's say you have a premium that you have to pay each month, right? What if you got some extra money that you wanted to chunk onto?
You can do that, but you have to notify your agent, because you don't want your policy to become a mess. Because if not, you have to pay taxes.
So there's a certain amount that you can, what we call overfund the policy. So you can overfund the policy to speed up the cash value. But the IRS is only going to let you overfund up to a certain point. And after that point, you can still overfund, but you just have to pay taxes on that money. So people kind of hide their money into insurance policies to let it grow like banks. Banks put your money into their insurance policies because it's free, it's tax-free money, and it grows, interest, and it has a bottom where you can never lose money.
Right.
So, for example, my daughter bought a house about 2 years ago when she got out of college. I took out an insurance policy, an IUL, that she's talking about when my daughter was about 12 years old. And I've been paying on that policy, overfunding it here and there. And so now she's got $30,000 or $40,000 in her cash value portion of her policy that she's going to take out this year, tax-free. She's going to buy a investment property. She's going to renovate that property, rent it out, and then she's going to refinance and pay herself back. And then do the same thing with her insurance policy next year. And so that's an example of what you can do with these types of policies. But on top of that, if something was to happen to her, because we get sick before we die, she can use the living benefits just in case something happens. But if she keeps doing that, she takes passive income through the insurance policy, invests that passive income into another passive investment. Now she's growing her money to the point where, she's going to retire financially free with this, with different buckets of passive income.
Yes, and Warren Buffett says that compound interest is the best thing in life, because that's how he became wealthy. So
if you guys have any questions about insurance, she's back here with Big Life. Before I let you guys go, it looks like we've got some goodies here. Harry, did I tell you to buy all this food? Hey, it's just too much food around here. Look, you guys, if you guys are a real estate agent or want to be a real estate agent, we have a table over here with Bennett Realty Solutions. We are investor friendly. Again, you are not going to become wealthy just selling houses. You've got to invest. Big Life is over here. Keith will be, where will you be, Keith? If you're interested in, we've got a house tour tomorrow. Look, our last 3 house tours, you guys, listen to this. Our last 3 house tours, our investors wrote contracts on properties. And so we're going to look at 3 or 4 properties tomorrow, all in Upper Marlboro, all great opportunities. So sign up for our house tour, our inner circle. You can be a part of us and be a part of our inner circle for just $97 a month. The first month, just $1. We have weekly meetings, a weekly Q&A, live Q&A every Tuesday. We have a monthly mastermind meeting, one-on-ones. We're here at your disposal. And so either sign up for that, or you can talk to Keith about our Platinum Coaching Program. We love that you guys are here. We love the fact that you're here wanting to make your lives better. Hopefully you guys took something out of this meeting. Somebody raise your hand and tell me, give me one good nugget that you're going to take away. Give me one good nugget.
Just make sure you just get the mentoring coaching.
Mentoring and coaching. Absolutely. Ma'am.
Cash buyers in house.
Cash buyers. You want some cash buyers, don't you? Go ahead.
Take action.
And so that's the biggest thing, you guys. That's what I want for you guys, is just to take action. And let's not overthink it. Let's get into a coaching program, either our Platinum Coaching Program or our Inner Circle. And let's make a difference this year. We got, 6 months left? You guys can close a couple properties this year. But let's take action. Valerie?
I was just going to say, don't give up in consistency. One and the same.
As real estate investing, hopefully we didn't make it look easy, but there are some times where it's difficult. We beat up the contractors, but contractors make things difficult. Financing. I had a deal recently where I'm thinking I'm going to close on a property that I renovated, and the buyer couldn't get financing. And so it is not easy, but you do have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. And I think the biggest thing is you've got to have an idea in your mind of what you want your life to look like. And then you've got to ask yourself, am I living up to my full, getting to where, I want that great life to look like or to be? You cannot make excuses on your race, on your gender, on your economic status, how you grew up, your education. It doesn't matter with real estate investing. I don't care if you've got a PhD. I don't care if you've got a law degree. It doesn't matter here. You don't have to have a degree. You just have to want to do it and go for it. And your life will change, and we will help your life change. Y'all just ought to clap for me right now. All right, somebody come here. Come here. All right, what are our instructions? Go ahead, speak loud. Speak loud to the people.
All right, so this blue box will be placed over there on the TV table. What we need you to do is fill out your purple sheet completely. And you're just gonna drop them in the box while you guys are socializing, eating, taking pictures. We're gonna pull a name, and then that's how you win the TV. Also, make sure you're following Greg Bennett Invest. Got it? It's Greg Bennett Invest with an S.
So is that a requirement to win?
No, not to win, but just.
All right, so fill your forms out, put them in the box, get something to eat. Can you, what's your name, ma'am? Go to Valerie, all the cash buyers, go to Valerie and give them your name and number. And then, let's say in 15 minutes, we're gonna do the drawing. Stand up, Valerie. Stand up, Valerie.
Here.
Are you glad you came? Good.
I knew you'd come.
Good.
Sorry.
How you been? Good to see you. Okay. All right. So that's not a bad thing. So you call me later, and so just refresh my memory. I remember that, but yeah, call me later. We'll take a look at it. I don't know if I'm still, because these things kind of make up. I may not. Okay.
It's so nice to meet you. Oh, I live on too. Oh, wow.
So there's a, so right, my name is should have it, but it's on
But you were saying you're from.
Okay. Yeah, just go see Harry over there.
And I'm gonna go to boot camp also.
Good.
So, be part of the team.
Okay. Hey, you guys, there's food on the other side too. There's food on the other side.
I look forward to working with all your team members. I'm very excited to be here. I'm also following so I'm just soaking it all in. Soaking it all in. Get out of my own way.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
How you doing?
All right. How you doing? Want to join?
Well, we gotta stay busy.
Yes, I'm ready.
We'll have to aim that box, right? What's happening? What you gonna sign up for? Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Jamari, tell them that they can go to the other side.
I'm a winner.
You are a winner. I think I probably started with 1,000. It could have been. So 1,000 is going to cost you around 500. But you could start with 200. That's what you're talking about.
How long does it take to get you 2 years?
We just have to be consistent. As long as you're consistent, man. I was getting ready to bring you up. Would that have been all right? That's what he told me to do. That's what I was trying to whisper to
Vanilla ice messing with our tongue.
Okay.
Till couldn't nobody come out with her.
I got you next time. We'll put you on before her.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No. I was just joking.
oh, okay. Oh, gosh.
What's up, man? Everything good? Yeah. Got your haircut. Yes. You said you come.
So what's been going?
But it's a consistent. It's gotta be consistent.
You're
Huh? You working? Yeah, somebody heard you was working with a brand.
Really, I mean, we talk about Ivy all the
Oh, okay.
but mine,
Oh, okay.
that's been too bad.
Oh, okay.
So I have my own.
Oh, okay. So what deals you got for you?
What I do with the investing is that I can
Okay.
sell it
Okay. You look for some buy holes in Baltimore right now. Some buy holes in Pennsylvania.
Okay. So you saw the property for an investment.
Okay. Number 6 same. Just change my number. It goes for like 3 years.
When you had went to my website,
Good to see you.
when you went to my website, I noticed that I was also writing.
Okay.
So, but he was asking me.
Nothing.
Okay.
Doing that for
That was your phone call. I called you back.
Yeah.
I should have called back. I called you back. Okay. I promise you I did. Huh?
202.
You don't have a missed call from me?
100. 72.
What if I did? What if I did call you back?
Yeah, it's what's your name there? Yeah.
I need to know if you are in the I wanted to try your guys.
Let me text you, Michelle, back.
No everything.
I have used them, but no, I use commercial land. No, their rates are really good.
So I have
I mean, you sent me something like last year. Something too.
Okay.
Yes, I've been child support court, so I can make my money. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Good at it.
The last one.
Where's it located?
Hey, look.
Okay.
Four. That's a girl. Yeah. You got back with your husband? Same goat. We live in the same house. I'm gonna go park. You can have two bosses in the house. So I think I gotta be the boss and I gotta be a big. So you want to be the boss? No. So you can have two bosses in the house.
I'm trying to take care of myself.
Who? Yeah, she ain't no boss. She making money, but she ain't no boss. But her ass is crazy. I'm talking about you and your husband. You was married, right?
I'll
Yeah.
who might be interested.
You try to make it work out. Huh?
Okay.
Yes, no, maybe. You go first and your child's
I'm glad you came.
son's
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
yes it is. Yeah. Yeah, put it out there as a case study. Because I'm putting mine out there as a case study. Oh, okay.
What's up, George? Okay, good to see you. How you been, man? How you been? Good? Good. Good to see you. Yeah, man. Are you? Absolutely. Rockwilder, right? Yeah, Rockwilder. English Masters. Hey, Greg. So I just got saw the sign out there. Yeah, yeah. This is nice. Yeah. Don't want to go to the library. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Let me make sure I turned it off. Oh, in broadcast, so we didn't even turn it on.